Rolling?
Well, that was good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was great.
Not the camera. That just
The camera's
crapped out.
having trouble. This is the third shot we've had doing this episode because my camera got switched into a mode. I feel like I ought to know as a film major what that thing is, but there's a little button on the side which says "Don't work." So one position is "Don't work," the other is "Work like a real camera," and I had it clicked to "Don't work," so it didn't work.
It was really weird. Balloons kept popping out of the back every once in a while because apparently the alternate mode is storing balloons.
So yeah.
So there's our review of Sam's camera.
But as for this episode, because we are, well, I'm Sam,
I'm Matt.
and we are taking a look at season 9 of Doctor Who, of new Doctor Who, as they call it, since it revived.
Yeah.
So this is Under the Lake. Now, last time we did both episodes of the last story together at once, sort of smushed together. And that was because we didn't quite put it together in
No,
time.
we were having some difficulties with setup, so.
And also, well, we knew that one was going to be two-parter, so we thought that would be a pretty reasonable way to treat it. But after doing it, I think I didn't talk to you about it.
Yeah.
Exactly, but I feel like we had too much we wanted to say and felt that who would want to watch an hour and 20-minute YouTube video?
Yeah.
Well, probably a lot of people, and I don't want to offend you, but
If you do, all we're saying is you are an idiot with no life who wastes his time on YouTube. That's all.
I've watched a lot of unnecessary content myself. Under the Lake, I really liked it.
Yep.
It was exciting. It was spooky, as I expected. Yeah, actually thrilling. More than most Doctor Who gets to.
Yep.
It was tightly paced. There were no wasted moments, and even the characters. Well, they weren't precisely.
I mean, they were hardly, particularly deep, but
Yeah.
they still were interesting. They were characters kind of like, as you've mentioned, a slasher movie.
Yeah. We don't. In a good slasher movie, people make jokes about slasher movies, I guess, having no characters, but
Yeah.
I think the ideal that many slasher movies are going for, and the good ones that are remembered, is that this is a character that in 10 seconds,
Yeah.
you know as much as you're going to know, and that's enough.
Yeah, these characters, they are immediately these characters.
Yes. And so it's only when people are saying slasher movies are just bad, they're talking about bad slasher movies. That's my experience.
And I mean,
anyway.
these characters, they aren't generally the characters you would see in a slasher movie, except maybe Richard Pritchard.
Oh yeah. He's pretty great.
He was fun. There's not the millions and millions of slasher movies featuring deaf Marine and her sidekick.
Yeah.
Who doesn't seem to care whether or not she can actually see when he hides.
Yeah. It was one of the shots that he was...
It was the first time they were all in the command room and the doctor was explaining what was up. He was like, these are ghosts, these are whatever. And during that, the guy was signing everything the doctor says with his hands around here.
So that the deaf commander could understand it.
I'm trying to make a point to not actually unintentionally use anything that's actually sign language.
Well, I guess you'd have to do it at random, but I guess that's not impossible.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's like if you make random sounds, you might unintentionally say "fuck you" to someone.
Yeah. But yeah. So there is the deaf commander, and it's always a nice move because there are deaf people in the world, and
really,
sometimes you don't necessarily see
I thought
them.
that was only a Defula.
Defula is a classic, by the way. Defula is a very important film, but independently of Defula, there's not much deaf representation, and you know what? Because it's that extra special touch that means that the world is a little bit more real.
Yeah,
even when it has alien ghosts.
That's always the thing for me, because I don't myself worry about representation that much on the grounds that I want to see other, bisexual people in movies, that would be fine. But that's not the main reason it matters to me. The main reason, it just seems a little more immersive when it's like, oh yeah, now that I see this does feel a little more real, because these people exist, and it would be really weird if they didn't.
My thing, definitely don't want to get into, I don't know, like whatever, social justice issues or politics or whatever.
Yeah.
But the main thing is, I don't know if every single work has a duty to include.
Yeah.
However, when they do, you often reap benefits if you do it well, because, it's like a breath of fresh air. It's like, wow,
these people do exist.
They never say, oh, you're deaf.
Yeah.
There is not a single... Okay, there was a joke.
There's one joke, but the joke is the doctor's like, I could do sign language. And he looks at it and he's like, wait, no, I deleted it. Semaphore.
Which is a terrible idea.
Someone get us some flags. Also, you can't say as much in semaphore. It's not as much of a language.
But, she's not made fun of.
And she's also not like she's not like a stock deaf character either.
Yeah, well, she's busy being in command.
She's a stock character who is also deaf, but she's not like the character who, she's not the character from the episode, like the girl with mental illness from the episode.
Oh, the tiger.
My Little Doctor Schizophrenia's Magic, yes.
Which tells us that, her schizophrenia defines her and is a positive thing that she shouldn't be worried about, and, she's...
There's no negative effects from schizophrenia, and you shouldn't at all try to medicate it.
Yeah.
And also, that is the only character trait you have.
Yeah.
She just happens to be... And so that works. So she's not playing one of, as a deaf
Specifically,
actress.
you mean not... This episode, not the episode we were just discussing.
The actress is not playing just the deaf one. She's playing the base commander.
Yeah.
Who, to make it, you might say to make it just not totally boring that she's exactly the same base commander that you've seen a million times, she also has another twist for her. And it comes into play in the plot, because she can read lips.
It's weird though, even though that comes up and is important, I might have missed it, because there were a couple points where the sound mix was making it hard to hear, but they never actually said...
So you identify with this character. You identify with this character, because of how hard it is to hear everyone talking in Doctor Who. That's the real problem, she just can't hear anyone over the sound mix.
But I didn't hear a point where they said, okay, she needs to read the lips. But I guess... they sort of had to cut that or something?
I guess that would have been a...
Make it fast-paced like I like?
Yeah. I mean, it was not unrealistic that a person who's deaf might at least have some ability to read lips.
Yeah.
So.
But, so let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Not
just the one character, who is my favorite character in this story.
That's true. I was so distracted by everything going on. I realized that I wasn't really focusing on any one character in particular. Like, last story, I was like, oh, this is just great, especially because Missy is here and she's doing a great job. But this is a story that stands on its own, on the action, on what occurs.
Yeah.
Not on the jokes and gags and little, it's a more solidly based story.
Yeah. There's Deaf Base Commander, who we've now spent an hour talking about. There's this character, Richard Pritchard, who he's the generic, corporate... He's like the mayor in Jaws who won't close the beaches. Yeah. He won't abandon the ship because of the the trillions of dollars in oil they'll find.
So, the short-sighted, pathetic, office fellow or something, who's an idiot and quickly recognized as one, and the only one who feels stock.
Yeah.
So he's around.
And especially he's stock in Doctor Who.
Yeah.
That character shows up a lot in Doctor Who. It's kind of why I'm glad he wasn't around too long. Yes. I was more interested in the characters who, even though they were not deep, not hugely developed, had okay, deaf base commander, her sidekick who interprets for her.
And is clearly very attached to her.
Yeah, and who they're friends, they're clearly friends, but there's not, like, necessarily a romantic element.
That's what was when I was
There's the girl who is kind of a fan of the Doctor.
Yeah, who immediately, when he pops in, she immediately knows who he is when he says she's the Doctor, and she's like, oh, I'm such a big fan. She's all smiles, and then she gets very serious and tries to play it cool, but it's too late.
But she's not the girl with the scarf that we've seen.
Yeah.
She's a very different character. Mm-hmm. And there's
well, I mean, for one, we don't quite know her as well, because
but
Scarf Girl Oswald had more time.
Yeah. But there's she isn't played exactly like that character, and then there's the cowardly scientist, who's kind of a schmuck, but he's not awful. He's not really going to get these people killed with how over the top cowardly he is. He's kind of nervous, which, considering the circumstances, is
ghosts
is forgivable. That somebody would be somebody who's not necessarily militarily trained. He's just a scientist, and he's like, I was not expecting this. Oh shit, what's going on?
So I guess we can start from the beginning.
Sure.
So I really like the cold open on this one. It immediately establishes the dynamic. The first time through this episode, I really liked when you compared it to Alien.
Yeah.
To the opening scene from Alien, or I can't remember whether it's the literal opening scene.
The opening scene is the going through the ship and the wake up sequence.
Yeah.
But
the mess hall, the dinner scene.
Yeah.
After that, where everyone
not the one where something happened.
But yeah, so basically, they're all these normal people. They're
Alien
military.
Spoilers.
they're military in under the lake, but they're basically normal people. This is clearly not like a very intense mission, or it's not supposed to be. They're just guarding this mining place under this lake, and they found a vessel that they don't know the origins of, and I like that even though they know about aliens because they have some sort of connection to UNIT, and they recognize the Doctor, even though they're still reluctant to say that this is an alien craft. It's like, I've never seen anything like this on, and they interrupt.
Don't say Earth.
Don't say on Earth. It's like on Earth before, and but it's like it can't be aliens. That's silly,
Yeah.
So one of them suggests that it's.
It comes off what I really liked about this, which was what I've been getting into thinking about. They don't come off like they don't believe in aliens.
Yeah.
Which would be a bit silly as well. But rather kind of like they know aliens exist, but they think it's really unlikely. Like,
they're probably right.
Yeah.
They're the Scullys. They're the Scullys of this thing.
Yeah.
They're willing to believe in a crazy supernatural thing, but.
And not the stereotype of Scully that everyone seems to have, where she's always like, no, there's no supernatural.
Because she's experienced it time and time again. She's just not going to assume it's supernatural.
Yeah. They're like, well, what seems more plausible? A weird abandoned underwater military base has a weird abandoned underwater military project, or weird abandoned underwater military base has a ghost spaceship. Yeah.
But, so they found this, and they've got the commander, not the deaf one.
Yeah.
Who's very much in control. He's hardly a big part because.
Yeah.
But so they go inside, and there's this little joke which seems very human where one of the people says, "Oh, couldn't it be a government aircraft that they forgot down here because this is under a lake, but a dam broke some years back." I forget how many they said.
Hundreds of years ago, I think that was like.
Whoa, that long? Okay.
Yeah.
But
I might be wrong. And just another thing I was going to say about their interaction.
Yeah.
Was that I liked. They were military, but they were not formal military because admittedly, I've never been in the military, but if you've got 5 people in cramped quarters like that, even if you're trained to have like strict military structure, it's going to get loosened a little after a few months with only 5 other people.
Yeah.
You know, so it got, you know, these characters, they have this dynamic that's like, they seem like regular people. They don't necessarily love each other, but they don't hate each other. They know each other.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't think they like Richard.
They don't like Richard, no. But most of the rest of them, kind of their co-workers. You know,
Yep.
if nothing spectacular happened on this base, like it happened, you could imagine, you know, they'll get along fine, and then they'll leave the base, and they'll never think of each other for the next 10 years, and one of them's like, oh yeah, I worked on that base with you. You remember that time that Pritchard did something stupid? Oh yeah, he was always doing something stupid. What an idiot.
I really like, specifically, there's a moment where the Doctor shows up, which we'll get to in a second, although I might run through events in roughly chronological order, whatever. But the Doctor shows up,
No
and
one's
he's
got
like,
a gun to your head.
who's in charge? And of course, the deaf woman, the deaf commander, says that she is through her interpreter, and then immediately afterwards, Pritchard says, "No, I am."
Yep. And also, there was a good gag there too. It's like, who's in charge? I need to know who to ignore. And the deaf commander's like, and there's I am. And her interpreter says, "I am." She is.
Oh yeah.
And then just, actually, I am. I work for Vector Petroleum.
Yeah. But, so anyway, back to the beginning. They found this craft, and they go inside and they see some strange writing, and there's a very conspicuous shot where we see it reflected in their eyes.
Yeah.
Basically, this is important that they are seeing it shot
Yeah.
for everyone. And shortly after that, this ghostly figure appears, and it kills one of them very quickly.
Yeah.
And they run away, and within seconds, the ghost of their recently killed former commander, who is very, did a perfectly good job in that role in the, full 60 seconds before he became a ghost, and his role became mumbling.
Yeah.
In which case, he's still doing a perfectly good job physically acting. I'm not knocking that kind of acting.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so they can. So this isn't just normal ghostery. This is very fast acting.
Yeah.
And they run away anyway. So
and obviously we don't need to necessarily go
through everything, but I like these moments. So
yeah,
I'm gonna talk about them. So the Doctor arrives with Clara, and he notes that the TARDIS is feeling a little weird. Something is troubling it, and there's something weird about where they are, which is, as he quickly understands, underwater.
Yeah.
He and Clara go around, and they see that the place, something violent maybe has happened. There's a knife in the wall. Food has been taken out of places, and the Doctor puts his finger into a cup, and I guess determines exactly how close it is to room temperature, how long it's been out. But you'd think it would just be room temperature eventually.
You'd also maybe need to know what temperature it started at. I mean, I guess it's tea, but
so it's it's been 8 hours.
Yeah, 7-8 hours, and it was very good. They're going
great shots too.
Yeah.
It's a good looking episode. And I gotta say, there's gonna be some water stuff in this, and I'm trying not to bring much outside knowledge into it, although I happen to see, the Doctor Who, this is what we're doing behind the scenes, and see that they're actually using water to cast flickering reflections on the walls.
Nice.
And I gotta say, again, sort of film guy, inexperienced though, but that's one of the big things, is water is a huge pain. And much respect.
Water, children, and animals, right?
Water, children, and animals. Anyway, so he's looking around, and then he sees 2 ghosts, because there are 2 ghosts, with the former commander and the guy with the weird beard. You can never quite see them right, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
And they are led over to the ship to look at
the cowardly alien. Wonder if it's the same cowardly alien that was in the other thing this guy wrote. Same type of cowardly alien.
Oh, the fact that they say the species is cowardly later?
Yeah.
He wrote God Complex.
Yeah, in God Complex, there was an alien whose species survived by immediately surrendering to anyone who tried to contact them.
You might be right. It kind of looked the same.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That might have been a piece of excellent world building.
After I was complaining about not having repeat aliens, they responded immediately by repeating an alien who was a very minor character.
That's a nice touch. I'm pretty convinced now.
Yep.
So one of them is this famously cowardly alien, and now a ghost, and willing to kill people. Anyway, so the ghosts lead them over to the ship, and they look at the writing, and like, okay, nice writing, cool ship. And then the ghosts immediately start trying to kill them.
Yep.
The ghosts, incidentally, can use weapons. They can pick up axes, they can pick up these spear guns. But they escape, and they meet the crew, and they lock themselves in this room, which apparently the ghosts can't get into.
It's a Faraday cage.
Faraday cage, which I guess is a real thing?
Yeah, that's a real thing.
I don't know science.
I don't know much.
So, anyway, the doctor quickly decides that the Faraday cage, whatever it's stopping radio waves, whatever, somehow it's also stopping the ghosts.
Yep.
Which can just go through walls, like ghosts. Although he doesn't think they're ghosts, which I think is pretty funny setup for something. He's like, no, they're not ghosts, don't be ridiculous, of course they're not ghosts. And they do a little investigation, and he's like, I've got it! They're ghosts! Don't you see how amazing this is? It's like, you scoffed at them being ghosts before. He's like, well, yeah, just because there weren't ghosts before, but then...
There also used to be no such thing as rollerblades.
They're rollerblades.
Or magnifying glasses, until suddenly there were! Because just by virtue of things happening.
It's like, it's a good character moment because he's absolutely unwilling to consider that anyone else's opinion would be right, but the moment he comes up with it, it's a brilliant, huge, amazing new thought, and they should all be surprised. Yeah. Because he's the only one smart enough to determine it accurately.
Yeah, and this is the scene where he has the bad social skills bit.
Yeah, which I was saying was a little bit weird.
Yeah, I was actually kind of missing it in the last few episodes, because it kind of made him a little generic.
I was, but
he has less of it now than he used to.
Yeah.
He's not. It is in my mind character development on that note, and it's better to me by a lot than just he doesn't have it anymore.
Yeah.
It's that now he is making an effort. So he says he's getting really excited.
It's like, isn't this amazing? Basically, isn't it amazing that your friend is dead?
Yeah.
And now a ghost?
Yeah, he's like, isn't this great? Isn't this? And then, like, they're getting really kind of upset at him. And so Clara's like, Doc, you need to read this card.
And so she gives him a card to read, which she reads incorrectly, but, whatever.
Yeah, well, he does the gag. It's a standard gag where he reads exactly what is on the card.
So he reads the /daughter/ pet.
I'm very sorry for your loss, and I will do my best to investigate the death of your friend / family member / pet.
Yeah. Clara gives him a little look, but it's an old gag, but it's not a bad one. So what we learn, they can't go into the chamber. They can't go. Oh, the base is nuclear, which is why they have the chamber at all. Nuclear powered for why?
It's just a way of powering things. I mean, it's
anyway. We don't know why that's important, but I would assume it's going to be important next episode.
Well, it was important this episode.
Because it led to having the chamber?
It led, it was a plausible reason to have a Faraday chamber.
Yeah.
And it was a plausible reason for there to be a way to flood the base that you can't cancel out.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I agree. So, we also learned that they are only active during the night, not during the day. But here's the interesting thing. It doesn't appear to actually be connected to day and night. It's just that the base is low enough down, is deep enough that there's no natural light, so they have artificial day and night, just arbitrarily to keep people sleeping not right. But during the night mode, the ghosts move around and murder you. During the day mode, they're just not around.
I liked about night mode that like oranger light is better at night than bright white light.
So you think that they actually did a good job of that?
Yeah, and they did dimmer oranger lights that kind of look like older LA street lights, but they also were very creepy because the lights are dimmer and the shadows are heavier, and everything you get used to it pretty quickly, but you can see this is darker than it's meant to be.
Yep.
Like
The key is to make it look dark without it being dark.
Yeah.
It's the magic of film. And, they succeeded.
I say you just film it in broad daylight and then put a blue tint over it, but...
That is a Doctor Who strategy we have seen in relatively recent seasons, too.
Yep.
I mean, of course, it's an old strategy, but
yeah,
it's always nice to avoid.
Yep.
So...
It's all how you execute it. I've seen some horrible day for night shots out there.
Absolutely.
Where it's just so... Anyway, I'm going on tangent.
So, anyway, the day cycle starts, and while they were safe in the Faraday chamber... Faraday?
Yeah. The day cycle started,
and so they go around. The Doctor wants to figure out what's going on. They learn that the reason that they haven't evacuated the base, even though it's been 3 days since their ghost compatriot and another ghost were been trying to murder them, they are still on the base because Richard Pritchard
won't let them leave.
Won't let them leave, which strains my credibility a little bit.
Yeah,
because why would they listen to him?
At that point, yeah, but well, I mean, think of it like this: the first one was in night mode. The first night is in night mode. The second, I can see them staying a couple days. It's only been 3 days. The first one's in night mode, so that's day one. It happens at the end of day one. All that goes. Then they're getting very creeped out. They don't know quite what's going on, and so but then they run for long enough, and then it's morning. So they're like, okay, that was weird. Let's talk through what's going on. Let's try to figure it out.
Well, they think it's over, I guess.
Yeah, okay, that was weird. What's up? Then it goes night mode again. Then they figured out that they need to go to the Faraday cage. They go to the Faraday cage, and they get out. And I can imagine a day or two of them being like, no, look, this is not acceptable. Pritchard, we can't just stay down here sleeping in the Faraday cage.
Yeah.
And working, at least that being an argument basically for a day.
Maybe. Whatever. It's fine. I also like that they of course don't have time, and they never mention their exact moment when the ghost returned on the second night. But you can see there was some sort of altercation in the mess.
Mm-hmm.
So something happened, and it's always a nice touch.
Yep.
So anyway, the Doctor's in investigation mode. He's very excited about the ghost. And let's see. Oh yeah, so they go back to the ship. They look around.
Mm-hmm.
He tears out the panel at the bottom and determines that there should be some sort of cold sleep thing there for whatever fluid. He's also determines that there's some sort of power cell missing. And then Pritchard is like, oh, would that be valuable?
I mean powerful.
Man, he's such a bad character.
Yeah.
So, am I supposed to assume that he did steal it already, or he wants to go find it?
No, they made a point of saying that there hasn't been enough time for him to have stolen it.
Mm-hmm.
But he then leaves the ship to try to get...
So he, upon hearing that there's this valuable fuel cell that has enough power to get you across the universe or something, but not the Beatles thing.
Yeah. You can't get me that DVD? I love that movie.
We should talk about that sometime. Anyway, so he immediately runs off, and he goes out on his own, and while he's out, night mode starts early. And this is a weird little thing that I'll discuss in a moment. Because it's just totally artificial, with a computer malfunction, apparently, night mode starts early, and then the ghosts are on the prowl.
Yeah.
And we learn later that they can just say when it's day mode and night mode.
Well, I mean, they made the computer malfunction, but presumably the woman who fixed it could have put in some block. I mean...
No, it just seems to me, why don't the people just make it always day mode?
Well, I mean, if I were in their place, they believe that these are ghosts. They believe the ghosts only come out at night. It's not until the Doctor comes along and says, they don't know, what if it's that they only come out in night mode?
Yeah, okay. That's fair.
You know.
So anyway, so night mode comes early, and they realize that the computers are doing ghost hacking, I guess. I mean, the ghosts are doing ghost hacking, I guess. And Pritchard comes back in from outside. He was going around the ocean floor, the lake floor, looking for the power cell, presumably. And this nice little conversation where he's talking to a figure that we can't quite see, past the airlock chamber, and we're like, oh, that's definitely not a normal person.
Well, he immediately assumes that it's a person that we've heard trying to contact him.
Yeah. So a great moment when he looks up and he's like, "Is that you?"
Hey, allow me to justify the shit I was just doing.
Yeah. And so the ghost comes up closer, and it's his old captain. And of course, the thing we haven't mentioned is extremely important, is that they are all mumbling. They're all saying something. Lips are moving, but don't make sound.
Yeah.
And so he's like, "What are you trying to tell me?" But he gets murdered because the ghost lets the water into the airlock. So that's another down. Pritchard dies like 15 minutes in or something.
Finally.
Rip. So, and he appears in...
Don't rip. He doesn't rip. We immediately see he doesn't rip.
So he as a ghost appears over in the, I forget whatever place it is.
The mess hall.
The mess hall. And then they see his body floating outside, and they're like, oh, okay, so that's, ghost. So yeah, they managed to turn it back to day mode that it's supposed to be before it actually hurts any of them.
Yep.
So, the gang all gets together. Just one of their crew members down. Luckily, not a useful one.
Mm-hmm.
And the doctor decides that they are going to turn it back to night mode because they have to figure out what it is that the creatures want, or what they're trying to do, or they're just never going to get anything out of it. And, oh no, sorry, I was about to say a moment that comes later. Anyway, so they set up this relay trying to lead the ghosts step by step over to the chamber so they can close it and lock them in. And so
I'm a little unclear on why one person couldn't just do that.
Yeah.
But it's
maybe they're supposed to go faster than people, but that's not really borne out by their pace. If they go faster than people, then having someone suddenly distract them from the end of another corridor.
Oh wait, I actually have a thought.
Okay.
They can go through walls, and this is a circular base.
So they can't go too far. They can go in straight lines, but if they go too far without straight lines, then they'll get cut off.
Yeah, so if like the guys are like, oh, hey, so they set up that relay, they get the ghost in the Faraday cage.
So 3 ghosts now. Although I do like the moment when one of the ghosts splits off to chase after the old target, and 2 keep going after. 1 goes off the new one, 2 go after the old one. You're like, oh yeah, they can split up. Duh.
Yeah.
But they get out of that crisis. They've got them locked in the Faraday, and they can't actually get a good video reading. So our deaf commander
using the sonic sunglasses.
Yeah, so that the deaf commander can actually read their lips. So the doctor's like, well, just let me in. And they're like, what? Come on, they don't have any weapons, it's fine. So he slips on in, and the ghosts all mumble threateningly at him. And one tries to hurt him, and for a moment it really looks like it's working, but the doctor's just messing around.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, you're not as scary without an axe.
Yeah.
So they read the lips, and it's a bunch of gibberish nonsense. Specifically, it's 4 different pieces.
The dark, the sword, the forsaken, the temple.
Yeah, in that order.
Oh no, I've got it in my head.
So they're saying those 4 little words or phrases over and over again in that order, and the doctor goes back and decides that it is coordinates. It is instructions to a location, and he quickly decides that it is instructions to Earth, to this lake,
Yep.
to
to space, to Earth,
Yeah.
to this lake, to.
Is it necessary to start off the coordinates with space? Oh, I guess so. So that
mean,
they'll know that it's universal space code.
Yeah, and so
and not like
it's
some planet's individual coordinate system. So so he determines that it's coordinates being sent to a church in the ruined, sunken town.
the only one on Earth.
And he decides, I guess fairly enough, this is the doctor, he's usually right, that this is somehow a signal, with their mumbling is somehow a signal to somewhere to, for some reason, we don't know what the message is, just it's transmitting a location, and the more ghosts there are, the stronger the signal. Now, I don't feel like mumbling is like the next wave of interstellar communication, but the doctor knows something I don't, and in the context of the story, I will accept it.
Yeah.
So the doctor's like, oh wow, that's amazing. Also, that's revolting. Like,
I want to kiss it to get that.
Yeah, it's disgusting. It's horrifying. You know what? Just listen to him. He says it better.
It's revolting. It's horrible. It's disgusting. I want to kiss it to death.
So, yeah, they still got them trapped, and now they send out a drone to go examine the church, and it brings back a pod, which we're quickly told is deadlocked sealed. It's come back. The deadlocked seal is back.
But what's good about it, I think, was that they don't do it an out of the way, like, I'm trying to Sonic it, oh no, deadlock seal.
Yeah.
It's just like, he says, I can't open it, it's got a deadlock seal. Because obviously it being wood would have been stupid. It's 100-year-old waterlogged wood, I can't do anything about this.
Anyway, the ghosts strike back, and it's unclear how, or it was unclear to me, but they managed to make one of the chambers flood, and they can't override it. So they all try to get over through this section that's going to flood, so they can get to the TARDIS and escape. But the groups get separated, so the Doctor ends up with sort of Dr. Fangirl and
Dr. Fangirl and
Cowardly Scientist.
The less interesting characters.
Yes. And then Clara ends up with the
Deaf Commander
and Translator. And the Doctor's like, don't worry, I'm going to go back in time to before this place was flooded, before the whole lake happened, and figure out what the heck is going on here. Because it's been here since then. So don't worry, I can't go actually rescue you, though, because the TARDIS is scared of ghosts.
That is true. The TARDIS turns out to be afraid of ghosts.
So he heads off, and Clara's like, don't worry, it'll be fine, he'll save us just fine. And they look out the window, and they see another ghost. And they're like, what's that doing here? Did the past get changed? And it is the Doctor, as a ghost, with creepy black eyes, mumbling, and we're like,
dun, dun, dun. Cliffhanger.
So, a good cliffhanger.
That was a great one.
So, really liked it.
And as soon as this ended, you said to me, well, it's the first time I've liked a the Doctor is going to be dead thing.
Oh, yeah. Because they're just countless times, this is my last will and testament. Let's go to the place where I'm going to die.
Yeah, that was one thing that I thought really counted.
Look at me getting shot by this astronaut. It's definitely going to happen. No way around it.
That's what I think was the reason that I didn't mind it. Excuse me, mind it as much. Is that in this case the Doctor is we don't start out with the image of the Doctor as a ghost.
Yeah.
And then work back to why is the Doctor a ghost.
It's a terrifying complication to an episode that was already standing on its own.
Yep, we get to that point and then we're like, oh, shoot, what is this about? Because
I knew it was coming, though.
I mean...
But,
I forgot it was I'm bad at keeping track of the time. So
you didn't realize it was the end of the episode?
I didn't realize the episode was about to end. I figured, okay, maybe there's going to be like a climactic sequence down there in the dark. Yeah, but it was a two-parter, so... Case. So, but what worked for me is, this is the two-parter. Now, we're left wondering about the details, but we have a very good idea of what happened. He went to the past, and something happened there.
Yeah.
This was not some preordained time loop that he could not possibly avoid.
Yeah. It's not some epic thing. That's what I really liked about the fact he's like, I'm going to go back in time. It's not an afterthought exactly, but it's not the big focus of the episode. He is a time traveler. It doesn't need to be a huge big deal when he says, "Oh, time travel will be a good tool to fix this problem."
Yeah. And it leaves us thinking, okay, how's he get out of this?
Yeah.
As opposed to the other ones, which tend to leave us thinking,
well, when are we going to be told how he got out of it?
How does he get into this, in a way, as well?
Yeah, sure.
Like, in this one, the Davros one, it was like, he's going to die. How is he going to die? Why does he think he's going to die? What's going on? Is not to me as interesting as, oh, shit, he died in the 1950s or whatever that is. He died many a year ago after traveling back to this thing where he was killed by a red-shirt alien, not by divine destiny with his ancient enemy.
Mm-hmm.
So here's what I was going to say about this.
Yeah.
Because I mentioned this to you shortly after. This is not exactly our first thoughts, but this is pretty close. His performance, in a lot of ways, reminded me of the Fourth Doctor.
Oh.
And the thing I like in the Fourth Doctor is a sort of similar to this manner in which he is bad at with people. Because this is no longer when he showed up, the current Doctor, the 12th Doctor, I guess.
Yeah.
12. Capaldi was an asshole.
Yeah, immediately.
Like, just...
I don't know, I couldn't hear much of that episode.
Well, he was an
That's a trend recently.
He was an asshole in the original, first season he had.
Yeah.
He spent it mostly being a dick to people. Or being, like, weirdly unaware of social norms.
Mm-hmm.
Like, showing up at somebody's house during a date and being like, I was in your bedroom, I assumed this was the last place anyone would be when you're on a date with a guy you have a crush with. Not necessarily realizing how insulting that is.
That's a great below-the-radar joke, too.
Yeah. But, like, in this, he's just kind of, like, there. He, is bad with people because he's so interested in the world around him, and you get the feeling maybe Gallifreyans don't express themselves the way we do.
Mm-hmm.
So he's came off more alien than asshole here, like going off like, oh yes, this is good, this is very exciting. Because one thing the Fourth Doctor would do a lot was smile at really inappropriate times. Like he'd be being threatened. He'd be being threatened with death. And not even like one of those ones where like he knows how he's going to get out. It's just he would be smiling as if that's his reaction to being threatened. That's what Capaldi was kind of doing here. I like.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and it really makes him stand apart from the other panicking people.
Yep.
Some of whom are reliable, but none of whom are like the Doctor.
Yeah, that really worked for me. I liked the short scene where they continue the thread of Clara turning into the Doctor.
Oh yeah.
Where they go and then he's like, Clara, there's an entire there's infinite dimensions in here. Yeah, there's room for infinite dimensions in here, but only for one me. Where he's making that point.
It was a little weird. I didn't know what prompted that thought.
I think it was just how she'd been going on about, oh goody, adventure, adventure, adventure.
Oh yeah, because she was very excited this episode at the start. She's very much gone into the flow of things. There's no Danny holding her back. She has no real reservations about wanting adventure, and specifically she says danger.
Yep.
Perfectly good step for a character.
he expresses like that concern to her, and he keeps going, and he's like, "Can I stop now?" Yes.
Yes. You can stop caring, Doctor. Let's go.
And that's
check out the ghosts.
One thing I liked about that dynamic is that she's being very much. He feels more comfortable around her, like asking for social advice. I'm like, do I stop talking here? Oh yes, I gave you these cards to give me when I need to say something to help people.
Mhm.
More open with her.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, again go to just like, oh, he's being, super nice. Like he's friendly. And there was also the gimmick, the joke in the previous series that I liked, which is he thinks she looks older than him.
Yeah. But just sort of the episode in general, independently of Capaldi.
Yeah.
It's maybe the best kind of two-parter, or opener to a two-parter, because it stands very firmly on its own grounds. It's not set up, it doesn't waste any time because it really wants to be about the second part.
Yeah.
Like the opening to this season wasted some time. It fiddled around. It was like, well, I want this to be a two-parter.
You basically got a complete story here.
And that now that's what I like so much. Now we have the promise of another dimension to the story. Because there's tons of things even that we don't know. Especially that box, which they got from the ruins of the church. And we couldn't open it, but he says, no, there's gotta be something or someone inside. That's a big question. And the Doctor dying, that's a big question. So what the heck happened?
And the very kind of the thing is about this story is that if you just changed just a bit of this story, like just a couple lines and had them all get out, you would have still felt like you watched an episode.
Yeah,
you took
exactly.
If you don't, if the base had flooded if they'd been like, okay, we will flood the base and send a message that nobody will come back here and escape in the TARDIS. If they had done that, you would have felt like that was a story.
Yeah, I would have liked it.
Yeah, but now it's more like, wow, I just got a story and I'm about to get another story.
I love how precise it is. It's like, this is this crazy, creepy thing we don't understand under the lake. Next episode, let's pull away the lake.
Yeah,
like
let's go before the flood.
Yeah, before the flood. There's a wonderful, symmetry to that.
Yep, and it makes it, we will answer the questions that you were curious about but didn't need to know.
Yes, because it would have been fine if they hadn't.
And I'm just very excited about this.
Absolutely. Let's see. I think that wraps up most of my thoughts. A special note is the moment where, that's another loose end, I think.
Yeah.
During the chase where they're relaying the ghosts to the chamber to trap them, the cowardly scientist guy gets pinned against the wall by his former Richard Pritchard, and Richard Pritchard is right next to him. He's leaning up against the wall.
Oh no, that wasn't the cowardly scientist.
Oh, I got mixed up.
They explained that in the story.
Am I stupid? Fill me in.
I'm sorry. You noticed it was a little unclear, but you noticed that the deaf commander wouldn't let her interpreter into the ship.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yes.
And so he was the interpreter.
That was
who
the
wasn't allowed
interpreter.
into the ship, and that's also why, instead of having him just relaying things to her, it showed when there was the question of if he was alive, the corporal lady going grabbing her and getting really close to say he's alive, so that she can read it.
But you're quite right. The only thing that was another question I had, and it's still a question I have. How did she know that he shouldn't go into the ship and look at the writing that would mark him for death?
Well, the thing they explain, is that these words are an earworm.
Yes. How did we not talk about that too? This episode is stuffed with fun stuff.
You get see these words and you kind of start thinking about these words.
Yeah.
kind of on a manner similar to...
Yeah.
So now that's kind of in your head. So she is now, because she is the smartest one here, I would guess, subconsciously put together. You know? Okay, wait a minute, now I'm thinking something I wasn't thinking before. And this is, again, not her consciously thinking this. Wait a minute, now there's something weird. Okay, those did something to me. I don't know what, but they did something to me. I won't let him in.
But you think that she would have said something about that.
That's why I said subconscious.
Okay.
She doesn't realize it. She just knows that it's dangerous.
Maybe. I feel like I would expect a commander to not rely on sort of weird feelings to that extent.
Again,
I'm
she's the
prepared.
first officer. She's not the commander.
Yeah, first officer.
So
I'm prepared to put that behind us as maybe a point of disagreement. I'm undecided.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
anyway.
it's for me, it's a case where if I've got a subconscious feeling that this is dangerous, but I also kind of have a subconscious feeling that for the others it's not, because they already saw it and he hasn't. So I'm not necessarily even looking at this thinking, oh, this is dangerous. I'm just sort of almost instinctively going, don't let him in there.
But anyway, so yeah. What we didn't make clear is just that you have to see the writing or you won't transmit the mumbled message across the universe.
Which is because the words get stuck in your head like a song.
Yeah. No, I love how, and I hope that they don't. There's nothing really to explain. They've explained it. It is an earworm so contagious, so effective that simply dying won't get rid of it.
Exactly.
It's such a simple concept that doesn't need more explanation and is completely different from any natural world we understand, and I love it.
One other issue I had was with the script, and again it's related to the deaf woman, or her interpreter more accurately. And maybe I'm wrong on sign language. If I am, let me know, you know. But when he was interpreting what she's reading, you know, the light, the sword, the dark, the sword, the forsaken, the temple. I mean, one plot level, he's here, not plot level, sign language level, he's occasionally interpreting them as rhymes.
Yes, he hears a rhyme and he's like, wait, no, actually it's...
Yeah,
it's not Bemple, it's Temple.
Yeah, they were really words that he was saying, but it's what is... I feel like the sign for, whatever is right, you know, he said before, the mistaken or whatever. I feel like the sign for that might not necessarily look exactly like the sign for Forsaken.
Or even close.
Yeah.
It's probably a mistake.
Yeah, it's I feel like, you know, the sort of the difference between the movie actor and the TV actor mentality is the TV actor is less willing to say, I think we should change this. So I think this is sort of the TV actor thing where both of them speak sign language and they know that's wrong, but they're going to go in, do their job, and get out.
Yep. Well, I mean, nothing world-breaking. Well, a little bit world-breaking. Presumably, just the guy who is interpreting for her randomly just made a stupid error that you almost wouldn't believe a professional.
Oh wait, and the other error is total nonsense for me now because I was going to say because of the earworm, if you heard anything that sounded like Dark Sword, Forsaken Temple, but then he didn't ever see those, so he didn't have those stuck in his head.
Yeah.
So everyone else would have gotten it.
Yep. So no explanation. Well,
I withdraw my non-complaint.
small problems.
Yeah.
I have nothing else to say.
I loved it.
All right. I don't. This is not a. This is not a It's not a scoring show. But if I were tempted to make it a scoring show, I would give this a 10 out of 10. Because
2 thumbs up, I guess. we're changing how he gives it out of 10, and I give it.
You give it out a thumbs up.
High five, my man.
All right. So, anything else? Any last thoughts?
Not that I can think of.
Yep.
That was basically it. Good show.
Good tense moments, excitement. Great.
Look forward to seeing more. Bye.